Why do they want an angry gorilla anyway?
You're a silverback. He terrifies humans.
You're not terrifying.
Snickers, which is your character in the movie, like as exemplified by that lovely poodle there, is described as a beautiful white poodle, always impeccably clean and groomed. Apart from the poodle part, how much of that do you identify with?
Well, I'm not impeccable. I mean, I'm so not impeccable. I like to sew. And my husband's jeans had a hole in them, and they were rather favourite jeans of his. They asked me if I'd put a patch on them. So I did put a patch on, and I put it absolutely beautifully. I opened them up down the side. I put this patch on. I did it so beautifully, finished, and then I realised I put the patch on the wrong side. I put it on the outside and not on the inside. So I basically destroyed his jeans. So now he doesn't want them anymore. So I cut them off, you know, to make them into shorts. And but he still wouldn't wear them. So I've taken them, even though they're like about 5 sizes too big for me, and I tie them up with string. And then my work shorts. So no, I'm not immaculate.
Whoa, did you draw all these?
A gorilla? Who draws? What is it? Don't tell me. It's a lonely haystack on a late summer day.
It's a beetle.
So you have spent some of your quarantine in Lake Tahoe, and it seems like from your Instagram you've been kind of hanging out in nature. Have you always been like a nature or a wildlife lover?
I tell you what, I have always felt, and I felt this ever since I was young girl, which is that we don't understand animals, and we don't understand how to share the planet with them. I think our body of knowledge about animals has grown exponentially, and I think will continue to grow. And I think that we will look back upon, you know, this era of human existence and be ashamed of ourselves, of the way we've treated animals. You know, just treating them as simply as food and absolutely nothing else. You know, pigs, for example, are incredibly highly intelligent, emotional animals. I took care of a pig when I was a young actress in London. I had some friends who had a farm in the country, and they had this little pig, and he was the runt. He wasn't being fed properly by the mother. So I started bottle feeding him, and then I had to go to London because I was working in the theatre. But I had a little back garden in my house in London, and I brought the pig back with me. Jeffrey, his name was, and I would go out shopping with Jeffrey, and Jeffrey would follow me just because he thought I was his mother. So he would just follow me right at my feet anywhere I went. You know, little Jeffrey would follow me, which caused a lot of consternation on the streets of London, as you can imagine. Although he wasn't a wild animal, he grew big, and when he was a little thing pushing at my leg to say, "I want my bottle," that was one thing. When he was huge, sort of, you know, 200-pound pig, you know, that was time to step away. He had to go back to the farm at that point. He did live to tell the tale, I might add. But, you know, yes, so, you know, we have very different relationships with different sorts of animals. But the animals that are wild and always will be, you know, even if you take them as a newborn baby and bring them up, you know, their DNA is still that of a wild animal.
This movie sort of shines a little bit more light on wildlife in captivity and like what we owe to certain animals.
The reality is the habitat of wild animals is becoming less and less and less and less, and I think we really have to pay attention to that. There's an enormous number of animals that are disappearing from our planet. Just in my lifetime, you know, a lot of animals have disappeared, and not like the dinosaurs disappeared because, you know, the planet changed, but because of human activity, you know, that is unnecessary, really unnecessary.
Do you have a sense of if you were an animal, what kind of animal you would realistically be?
I think it would, hopefully it would be some sort of a bird, because I think the idea of flying is so extraordinary. So I think some sort of a bird would be nice. Just a good old English robin would do me fine, hopping about looking for worms.
Ivan!